Hello everyone, Recapped Mystery here. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to explain an American psychological thriller film called Fractured. Watch out and take care. Ray Monroe is driving home from his in-laws' residence with his wife Joanne and daughter Puri. Today is Thanksgiving Day. Puri observes the couple arguing about their love, sits in the back seat with her headphones on, listening to music. Joanne begins to cry as she realizes their marriage is coming to an end. Puri's headphones quit working as they dispute, so the couple, to keep Puri entertained, he stops bickering and performs songs with her. Puri will have to leave at some point. I'm going to the loo. Ray stops at a petrol station. Ray goes to get batteries for Paris headphones, coffee and a soda for Joanne while Joanne takes Puri to the loo. However, he is strapped for cash, so he forgoes the batteries in favor of 2 spirits bottles. Back in the car, he lies to Joanne about the store's lack of batteries. Puri notices that her compact is missing as Ray prepares to start the car. When they don't locate it in the car, Joanne goes to the lavatory to look for it. Ray gets up to look under the bed, Puri's seat, but he inadvertently spills his coffee. Puri is standing outside the automobile. Ray is preoccupied, so Puri walks away to a neighboring work site. She notices a balloon and approaches it. When the dog approaches her, she begins calling for Ray's assistance. Puri is retreating, is trapped between a dog and a construction pit. Ray finally notices the puppy and asks Puri not to bother him, to move, and gradually attempts to turn the dog's attention towards himself. Puri is startled and falls into the hole as Ray tosses a stone at her. Ray rushes to help her and falls into the hole, becoming unconscious. He awakens a few seconds later to find Joanne coming towards them. Puri is unconscious beside him as Joanne examines her for injuries. Ray is still stunned and says nothing. Joanne approaches him, sobbing uncontrollably. However, he brushes her aside. Ray closes his eyes, and when he opens them, everything appears to be normal. He breathes a sigh of relief as Puri opens her eyes. However, her arm appears to be broken, so Ray gently picks up Puri and walks her to the car. Joanne suggests calling an ambulance. However, Ray claims to have seen a hospital nearby. Ray nearly collides with another automobile on the way to the hospital. Puri is in a lot of discomfort in the back seat with Joanne. When the family arrives at the hospital, Joanne and Puri wait in the waiting room while Ray checks them in. Because the hospital is overcrowded, the receptionist tells him to wait his turn. Puri whimpers in pain while the 3 of them wait. Ray returns to the receptionist and requests to be sent ahead of the others. She simply makes him sign documents and asks him to wait. He leaves. Joanne apologizes to him for being disrespectful earlier in the waiting area, and he returns to his family. Ray's name is eventually called by the nurse. The family is led to a room where the nurse takes necessary information about them. The queries become increasingly intrusive, which irritates the pair. The nurse then inquires. They attempted to register Puri as an organ donor, but she refused. They are adamantly opposed. Even after being rebuffed, the nurse brings up the subject again, but Ray dismisses her. Another nurse then transports them to the ward. Puri is placed in a hospital bed, and a doctor finally examines her. He verifies that Puri's arm is fractured and informs them that she will require a cast. When the doctor discovers that Puri has also struck her head, he recommends a cord scan. Puri's arm was cast by the nurses. She is then transferred to the cord scan lab in a wheelchair. Ray is forced to remain outside because only one parent can enter the area at a time. Puri explains. Before they part, she tells him she loves him. Ray nods off while waiting for them. He comes to in a few hours and inquires about his family, but because the shifts have shifted, she is completely clueless. She requests that he wait while she checks the documents. It's been a while, yet the receptionist hasn't returned my call. Nothing is spoken. Ray inquires once more. This time I'm irritated. She then double-checks the Puri's name is not on the morning record. Ray, frustrated, requests to see the doctor who examined Puri, but he has also changed shifts. Agitated, Ray yells at the receptionist and bangs on her desk, prompting her to call the courtroom. However, the lab employee informs her that only one elderly woman visited the lab that day. Ray is enraged. He demands to know about his family, but the receptionist looks away, as if he were insane. She even accuses him of entering the incorrect hospital. Ray maintains that it is not conceivable, but she ignores him and moves on to another conversation. Ray rushes to the hospital's restricted area, concerned about his family. "Just to be, the officials there stopped me," he tells them about their visit this morning. The doctor examines the day's record, but no patient named Monroe is present. Ray, frustrated, glances around and notices the nurse who had previously assisted them. Ray is recognized by the nurse. Believing that he has demonstrated, Ray sighs with relief, but the nurse adds that she knows nothing about his situation, daughter or his wife. Ray, she claims, arrived at the hospital alone with a head injury. Ray, agitated, accuses the nurse of lying. The doctor believes he has a contusion from his, and offers to treat him for his head injury. Ray, on the other hand, almost attacks the nurse and has to be restrained. To calm him down, the doctor injects him with sedatives. The guards then lock him up in the room. Ray tries to open the door, but the drugs have made him fuzzy. To prevent the sedative from working, he injects himself with an injection he found in the medicine cabinet. He then tries to open the door once more, but this time it doesn't work. As a result, he smashes the glass door and flees the room. However, people notice him running away before he can escape. Ray is pursued by security, but he manages to escape from the hospital and hides in his car. A police cruiser is parked directly outside the facility. 2. Ray takes advantage of the situation and pulls over, and informs the cops about Joanne and Puri. The cops, assuming he is lying, want identification. After presenting his ID, they agree to assist him. Ray walks into the hospital again, but this time she recognizes him. "I can't do anything because of the cops." Before assisting them, she contacts security. They were then let in by the guards. Ray transports the officers to the doctor from earlier. The doctor concedes that there could be an error in the data, and Ray orders that they be taken to the court lab. The doctor agrees, but the guards lead them to the third floor. Ray recalls the court fab being in the basement. Puri was clearly not present at the lab. Ray immediately requests that Dr. Bertram, who had examined Puri that morning, be called. The crew is happy to help. Just then, the receptionist enters with the paper Ray had signed. Morning. However, it does not prove Joanne and Puri's presence. Dr. Bertram has arrived, and reveals that Ray arrived at the hospital by himself to be treated for his head injury. The doctor had asked him to do a court scan, but he refused because his wife Abby was waiting outside. The cops become skeptical of Ray after he tells them that his wife's name is Joanne, not Abby. Ray then discloses that Abby is his ex-wife, who has been deceased for many years. Ray, feeling helpless, accuses the hospital of stealing his family. The security officer advises they examine the CCTV camera footage to verify if Ray is telling the truth. The gang then watches the morning footage, but Puri and Joanne are nowhere to be found. Ray thinks that is due to the camera's angle. Ray's story is no longer believed by the police officers. Ray then directs them to the vertical bar to find out the truth. Go to a petrol station. He even discovers Puri's scarf beside the hospital bed where she was in the morning. He maintains that this confirms she was present, but the police require additional evidence. The physicians feel Ray is not in a psychologically stable state, so they refer him to a psychiatrist named Teresa Jacobs. Teresa accepts. Ray leads him to a room and demonstrates his administration. Puri and Joanne are not mentioned in the record. Teresa speaks calmly to him and inquires about the events of the morning. She also inquires about Abby. Ray then confesses that Abby died 8 years ago. He got in a vehicle accident and was unable to save her since he was inebriated. He begins to cry because he is frustrated. Teresa is now certain that something is wrong, is incorrect. She proposes that the police investigate the scene of the collision this morning. Teresa believes Joanne and Puri are still present. Ray is then arrested by police officials. Teresa returned to the building site. They request assistance in their search. Then they come across Puri's compact in the pit. In addition, they notice a puddle of dried blood in the concrete. The cops realize that this cannot be Ray's blood because his injury is minor. The officers realize the location is a crime scene because of the missing people and the blood. Ray, on the other hand, blames the cops for fabricating the compact in the blood charge Ray. He believes the police want to save the hospital because of what they have done. Joanne and Puri, please. Teresa, on the other hand, attempts to calm Ray down and inquires as to what transpired. Puri, please. Ray begins to ramble. Teresa then questions him about pushing Puri down the pit. Ray falls silent as a result of this. He remains motionless and stares into the distance. The cops then arrest him on suspicion of murdering his wife and daughter. As it stands, Ray snaps as he is going to bind him. He seizes the officer's weapon and points it at Teresa. Then he forces them into the petrol station and locks them inside. I took Teresa's key card. Ray takes a police car to the hospital. He hides the gun and enters. His objective is to proceed to the basement, where he suspects Joanne and Puri are being held captive. While he's at it, he comes across the maternity leave sign. Room. The children remind him of Abby's died. He recalls the death that took both Abby and his unborn child. He manages to obtain a doctor's apron and disguises himself as one. He gets into trouble. The security guard from earlier joins him as he exits the lift and heads to the basement. He and Ray had a fight. Ray eventually strangles the guard to death and steals his keys. Ray has arrived in the hospital's basement. Ty discovers Paris' toy in a neighboring bin while looking around. Certain that his daughter is nearby, he grabs the rifle in his hand and looks for her. Then he notices two physicians delivering cartons of human organs. Ray realizes Joanne and Puri were brought here to get him. Their organs were taken. This explains why the nurse tried to get Puri to be an organ donor that morning. Ray then walks into a room and is shocked to see multiple dead bodies with missing organs. He rushes out of the room in search of Puri, eventually finding her in another room being operated on by surgeons. Joanne is sedated in the corner of the room. She'd been sedated by the physicians. Ray then threatens the surgeons with a gun and forces Joanne and Puri into wheelchairs. But, before he can flee, the doctors restrain him. They're ready to inject him with narcotics, but Ray escapes by blasting a device and causing an explosion. Ray finally exits the room, pushing both Joanne and Puri in the wheelchair. In the hallway, he murders another doctor. He drives his family out of the hospital in the backseat of his automobile. Finally, the family drives away to their home. Puri, Ray sings her a song to help her feel better when she informs them her arm is still hurting. The camera then turns to the rear seat, where we see that the persons seated there are two random patients who Ray has kidnapped in the middle of their surgery. Ray has morning flashbacks, and we learn that Puri perished when she fell into the hole. Ray also killed Joanne as he pushed her. Ray's mind couldn't bear the agony of being the cause of his family's demise. As a result, his imagination creates a new world in which his wife and daughter are still alive. Ray assumes he is saving them, but it is revealed that he has kidnapped an unidentified patient. From surgery, the bodies of Joanne and Puri were found in the trunk of his automobile the entire time. Ray has a dream in which Joanne tells him to take them home, and that's the heartbreaking ending of the movie. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. To assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.